Yeah, somebody sent me this picture and I had forgot all about this picture. But I know where it's at. That's Fort Greene. I said, oh shit, so I definitely responded. You know,
I wanted to get into like your history of like you was telling me about that, you know, our son and like Shy, like, you know, you of course, you know, with you losing them and everything, like they was a part of like the first fruit.
it was there you go. It was Bob Carr.
Bakar. Right.
Yeah, it was
Right.
Bob Carr, cameraman. Him and Naj God was in. They was in camera shop at our program. Our me, Gykee, Sharon God, and Pelan, we and Kasim, we was in graphic arts.
The School of Graphic Arts.
No, we had a what would you call it? Mayor Lindsay had the neighborhood youth corps. They had one over there on Lefferts and Grand Avenue and Atlantic. They had this big factory building, and they had photography, like I said, and graphic arts. And they had a couple more programs in there, and like I said, and Bakar was in photography with Knowledge God. And I didn't know at the time, but Civilized girl was in that class also. Well, anyhow, we was teaching like we always do in our neighborhood, and then when the gangs and stuff start coming, after they had our first encounter where they came, they thought they had us trapped in our park. On a handball court, they thought they had us trapped and whatnot. Yeah, well, this and that, you know, we got y'all now. And boom, we came out with the same thing that ABG had asked us. You know, do y'all know who y'all are? You know, and we started breaking down, telling them who they were. Y'all the original people. This and that, so we should be fighting one another. You know, if anything, we should be together fighting the white man. This and that, blah blah. And they were like, what the fuck are these niggas talking about? You know, what the fuck? And they got car antennas, sticks and shit in their hand and all that shit. So, hey, what the hell? And we went on and on to where we got their attention, total attention. You know, they was there listening and like that. And like their leaders like was saying like, yeah, y'all making sense, man. You know, yeah, man, that shit sound good, man. This and that, so, you know. And after a while, you know, they start, oh man, we ain't fighting, you know, this and that. And they start teetering off, going back home, doing the same thing that we did when the Bilal dropped it on us. AVG.
Right.
We were scratching our heads. Bam, that shit makes sense. Never heard that shit before. You know? And they start coming back. But like I said, we was teaching. And Bakar was one of our first fruits, besides the ones that was living in our community, like Bakar, Labar, and then they was from Fort Greene. Some of them from Fort Greene and whatnot, where Seal lived in that. And these guys, a car brought El Son.
Cabo El Son, okay.
He brought El Son. Yeah, you know, and
Mm.
next thing you know, people was coming from all over because don't forget, at the time, we was doing the same thing that the Muslims were doing.
Mm.
We were doing the same thing that they were doing. Only reason why is because don't forget the Father came out to Mars.
Mm.
And like any good student, you know, you take the best part.
Right.
You take the best part out of every situation. The father went into he was in the military. He learned that discipline and all that shit that they had to give. And he brought that out with him. So it wasn't hard for him when he went into the mosque. Discipline wasn't nothing. You know, for him, you know, he already been in it.
Right.
All right, so now we had to learn that.
Mm.
We had to learn discipline. And for us to learn discipline, we had rules and regulations.
Mm.
Just like Yaku's people, we had them too. And I'll get to that, you know. But like I said, man, so we was teaching, you know, every brother must go out and bring back 10 more brothers.
Mm.
Now let's go ahead to that cipher.
So that started with y'all, and that at that time period, y'all said that. Was it, or did the law tell y'all that?
The First Born.
The First Borns was telling.
Okay, so where did they get it from?
They got it from the law.
Okay, well, what was the Muslims doing? It tells you in the lesson.
Right.
You had to go out and bring back how many devils? Okay.
Right.
All right. So everybody that was right there listening knew what they had to do. I mean, if there was 5 there, 5 had to go out and bring back what, 50? You know what I'm saying? 50. So this is why it's not. It's one of the reasons why it spread it like wildfire. You know, the other reasons are that we were hungry for stuff like this, about our own, because we didn't have shit. All we had was what the white man had told us, and that was that we were slaves. To tell us that we was kings and queens at one time, and that the alphabet and the mathematical system came from us and whatnot, that astronomy and all that shit came from us. Oh man, that was like Walt Disney fairy tales, you know. Whoa, you know, that was huge to us. What? And then the movie came out on TV, the series Roots. Oh man, that even put more fuel on the fire. You know what I'm saying? Oh, the white folks in our neighborhood was scared to death. You know, they were talking about, hey, that wasn't us, you know, that was our ancestors, this and that. We had nothing to do with that. You know, we were like, yo, y'all cool with us? You know, y'all raised us from little kids, you know, this and that. You know, so y'all cool, we going over there and getting them other white folks. You know, shit like that. You know, but I'm saying, man, we studied hard.
Studied hard.
We studied hard, man, because for the years that we were together as a gang, chaplains and whatnot, I mean, some of us 2 or 3 years, some a year and all that shit. Well, we had grew into like a family unit. You know, we would never leave no one behind. That type of shit. We already had that. If somebody ran away, like I used to run, I run away, man. Fuck that. I couldn't put up what was going on at home. You know, they family would take you in, you know, just for a while. You know, like, yo, come on, let me walk you back, take you back home, and let me talk to your parents and see if we can get this thing ironed out. You know, they had those southern habits and culture and shit like that, where everybody looked out for one another's kid, looked out for one another. You know, even looked out for your house. Who's that going on over there in Mary's house? You know, shit like that. I never seen him around here before and shit like that. Hey, you, and all that old shit. You know, but getting back, we had that family thing, orientation about ourselves, and coming into Islam, like, let me get this straight. They used to ask us, what number was I? The First Borns, you know, I guess Messiah, number 1, and so on, and so on, was number 2. That didn't happen with us, except for Gykee and Shamgar. Let me get that clear.
What do you mean? Well, elaborate on that.
They, see, we hadn't heard from Bilal. To us, he was El Rey. He was our war counselor. He was our war counselor. We hadn't heard from him in a while. And then, let's say about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks went by, and he came back to the neighborhood. But that was a Friday night, and we was having a party. And everybody was like, where's Gypsy at? And where's Gino? And they ain't got here yet, man. This is some party jumping and whatnot. And then somebody said, they outside. El Rey's out there too. And we ain't seen him in a long time, so everybody stopped what they doing, ran outside. And he is out there with his army fatigues on and paratrooper boots and shit, and this funny looking hat on his damn head and shit. And so we said, yo man, how you been, man? Why you dressed like that, man? And them ball games and all that old shit, this and that. And everybody started ranking on him and all that old stuff. So when everybody was finished, that's when he dropped his pearls on us, you know. And
you talk about
ABG.
ABG.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, dropped his pearls on us, this and that. So the following days, Gykee and Shamgar will go to Mecca and will get lessons. The alphabet, the mathematics, and whatnot, and the student, one page, the student enrollment, and stuff like that. One at a time. We had to memorize this before we get the next one. That was the only way we can advance to the next page. So this is what I'm saying is, when we were taught, it was all of us together. Like the Sermon on the Mountain, as they talk about in the Bible, the Sermon on the Mountain. You know, when the firstborn and all of them came, it was all of us there together, getting these pearls, these jewels, and all that other shit. It wasn't no 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I got it. I'm the third one. I'm the fourth, and this and that. No, we got it all together collectively.
So the First Borns of Medina got it collectively.
Except for Gykee and Shamgar.
Okay.
Because they went to they went to Mecca.
Oh, they got, okay.
They went to Mecca and got the lessons and brought them back. You know, see, like I said, we was at the party, and ABG was down at Gykee's house, dropping the pearls on them then. So they got it first. And then when they came up to the party and we all came out, he started dropping the
pearls. Right.
Okay? So that 3, 4, 5, 6 shit, you know, that don't work here. That don't work here with us, you know. We just picked up from where, hey, go out there and get 10 more. You go get 10 more. You go get 10 more. But like I said, we had to know each lesson before we go on to the next lesson and memorize these suckers. You understand? And I was like, oh, so I was rebellious from Jump Street. So what's going on? Yeah, man, we jumped into this Islam thing, man, this and that. And we gotta stop eating pork. What? What do you mean? Give up my bacon, my ham and sausages, man? You gotta be crazy, man. Nah, man, y'all go ahead with that shit. Y'all go with that Islam shit you want, you know. And what was the next one? The next one was, all right, okay. You know, Gykee always would be in my ear. You know, he was like, you can do it. You can do it. If he can do it, you can do it. Come on, man. You know. And I said, so what's the next thing, man? He talking about fasting. And we fast for a month. A whole month. I mean, crash dive. You know, we didn't do this here gingerly or one day, 2 days, you know, like that. We crash dive a month, you know. And so how are we going to do this? What is fasting? They said, without eating any food. I did like said, oh, you motherfuckers definitely crazy.
Yeah, really told that. Wow.
Yeah, y'all motherfuckers crazy, man. Ain't no way the fuck, man. I'm not going to. First y'all said, no ham and none of that shit. Now you talking about, don't eat? Nah, man. Y'all crazy, man.
So Gykee was the one who walked you through and helped you get over those humps.
Yeah. Well, he do it for anybody. I didn't even have a name yet. And so he said, again, you can do it. And we was drinking water and black coffee.
Just water and black coffee.
Water and black coffee.
For a whole month.
For a whole month. I mean, so a whole lot of us didn't make it. A whole lot of us didn't make it. Come on now. Shit. I made it because I was around strong motherfuckers. You know, who make you strong.
A support system.
Yeah. And so it could have been vice versa too, where the next person was looking at me and saying, if he can do it, I can do it too, you know. So after we got through the fast and whatnot, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was in it. I was in it to the bitter end. And I couldn't find a name and that I enjoyed. So Gykee said, take one of my names, because Shamgar and Gykee, that damn Shamgar had a whole paragraph.
As for a name.
Yeah, you know, and Gykee wasn't too far behind, you know. So, but, cause I know he gave me his name Akim, and he gave the other brother.
So Gykee gave you Akim.
Yeah, and gave Yusuf his name too. Cause That was part of Gykee's name too. Yusef, whatever the name was. And well, anyway, I got my name, this and that, and I got to studying hard. And we were the type of brothers that sit around and coach each one another. You know, no. It didn't go like that. It didn't go like that. It went like this. Okay, you got it right. Yeah, you got that one right. All right, you recite these things over and over all damn day long, you know. And then we had the chess games where we play chess. Then we got an idea. All right, if you lose, you quote the whole 120. Now this made you sharp in chess.
That ain't your lesson.
And your lesson. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I said, nah, I don't think I want to play. No, I don't think I want to play. So that let a motherfucker know, oh, you better go back and study, nigga. You know, get your shit together. You know, before the rest of these brothers get over here and start questioning, because every day we was questioning one another. You understand? And those are some of the things that we did. Then we started learning the rules and regulations. This is what I'm saying. Like today, I look at the nation, man, and I'll be like, so much is gone. I mean, it's just like
all in terms of
the way we act and the way we do things. I mean, it's just like when you was home and as a kid and was a child and your mother was raising you. When you seen things, you went through things, and when you got older, and then you start having your own life and seeing how life is going on, you said, man, there's a lot of shit missing from when I was coming up, because, you know, it wasn't like that when I was a kid, you know, shit, a whole lot of shit fucked up, you know. And I see it in our own nation, you know. I'm like,
well, can you be a little specific? A little more
first of all, words born.
Word is born.
We did not fuck around with that lesson at all.
Now it's great.
We did not mess with that lesson. We pick our words when we talking amongst one another, you know, because we did not want to be a liar. We did not want to be a liar or proven to be a liar. Word was always wrong, because a brother, you tell a story or say something went down or something like that, a brother may jump up in a minute and say, word born? You know, like that. You have to like, nah, I was only fucking, I was just fucking around, you know.
Right.
You know, I was just messing around, you know. Now, another thing. We, and Messiah, ABG and them, the firstborn, was real hard on this one. A brother better not put his hand on another brother. That's all this shit is coming out to Mars. I know for a fact it come out to Mars. What's the other one? The father had this one. He says, a brother knows his brother from the back of his head, even if he's in a crowd. He knows his brother. The way he walks, the way he carries himself, he knows his brother. The other one is, if a brother is standing there and another brother gets jumped, and he don't do nothing, that brother get his ass whooped. If a brother put his hand on another brother, that brother get his ass whooped too. We had these rules set in, where if a brother do a certain thing, he will get exiled. He would get exiled. It depends on how serious the crime was. Let me put it that way. How serious the crime was. He can get exiled for 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then he can come back amongst us. He couldn't hang out with us all if he was exiled. Couldn't be around us, period. And then he could come back. After he did his time, he can come back.
So you think those rules and regulations are lost today?
They are lost. I mean, because these niggas, we didn't have all this shit going on. What's going on right now? Because niggas knew that, hey, I get exiled if I do this and that. I mean, and don't even think about harming the system. You know, don't even think about that disrespecting the sister or putting your hands on a sister like that. Come on, man. You may just lead the nation go, period. Period. You don't touch that. That's sacred. Like, you don't touch that. Like I said, there was different sentences put out on depending on your crime, how long you would be out the nation. Some brothers would get a whole year before they can come back. And this was the same thing that the Mars was doing. Exiling, or what they were saying, suspending. And shit like, hey, we had that same structure.
Amongst the brothers.
Yeah. And if you look at it, you see where we were policing ourselves, keeping law and order, keeping ourselves civilized. Man, you look at the way things are going now, brothers are doing this and that. I was listening to the sister at the last rally.
That was appreciation?
Yeah. Where she got up there, she was saying that there's brothers that's eyeballing other brothers' earths and sneaking around, trying to pull other brothers' earths and whatnot like that. Man, you better not have got caught back in the daytime that shit. Oh, hell no. See ya. You're gone. You're gone. Far as we was concerned, you was a snake. You was a snake. You was gone. So that, like I said, we were policing ourselves, and
Well, do you think that the nation has grown so vast that it's harder to police ourselves?
No. No. Because if you would implement, is that the word, implement?
Implement.
Yeah. Those rules and regulations into our culture, you have less of the bullshit. You have less of that bullshit going on. Maybe a brother behind closed doors will get away with slapping a sister or something like that. But he's taking a chance. He's taking the chance that she gets amongst her other sisters and let them know. And they ain't no hole in the water. They gonna tell. Brother so and so hit sister so and so. Well, you got to find out. We have to investigate that shit. Why you hit that sister, man? Why you hit that sister? We got to find out why. Cause she could be wrong.
I built with Wisdom Understanding some years ago, out in Philly, and she kind of kind of touched on that, in terms of being a family, and a lot of times we brothers and sisters don't, I was mentioning to like brothers and sisters don't want to mention their business to the family. And she says, well, we're a family. You know what I mean? She's like,
Yeah.
we're a family, and that family talks about each other, right?
Definitely.
So you can't get away from your family talking about each other.
No. It's going to happen.
Right.
It's going to happen because of we are living mathematics. We are living mathematics. And we all mathematics is always moving. All right. A sister or a brother, whatever the case may be, may not want to tell the whole nation its personal business. But it may go to someone who, a brother or sister that's close to her, and tell that person, what you think I should do about this situation, this and that, so and so, or this and that, so and that happened to me, this and this is going on with me, blah blah. But hey, I don't want everybody else in the nation. I'm just talking about me and you, this and that. But sooner or later,
It's gonna get out.
it's gonna get out.
Yeah.
It's gonna get out. So just as mine as well, I guess. It depends, because there's he said, forgot the word, for every problem, and there's always
Solution.
not the solution. There's where you make exceptions.
Oh, you say exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, exceptions.
Exceptions to the rule.
Always.
So may because you're talking about like how things are now and why things are like that. Like, do you think we made too many exceptions to the rules?
Either.
Cause.
Either that. I'm gonna tell you something. That affected the whole fucking world, and that could be part of the problem or the change. Also, crack.
Oh yeah, drugs.
Crack itself.
Crack itself.
Crack itself. There were pimps and prostitutes. When crack hit, there was no more pimps. There was no more prostitutes. Those who say they were prostitutes was running up on you talking about just for $1.
Yeah, that wiped out a community.
Yeah, I mean,
it did a number on a community for real.
Cause I was smoking it. I was smoking crack. Knock on this door. Let me get 200. Okay, yeah. This and that. Don't forget how much you got. You took and how much you got left. All right. I come back again, maybe 2-3 hours later. I'm asleep. Come on, man. This shit, man. From now on, you hold your own damn money. This, that, so and so. But one day in the car, he asked me. He says, "Do you smoke?" I say, "Hell yeah." Grab my Newports, and say, "You want one?" And then dawned on me. I said, "This motherfucker don't smoke, And he said, "Nah, man, I don't smoke no cigarettes, man. You know better than that." He said, "I'm asking you, do you smoke?" I said, "Smoke what?" I said, "I smoke these, like that." What the fuck is he? He said, "The other thing." I said, "Hell no." I could have got an Oscar that day. I could have got an Oscar that day. I said, "Hell no." I could have kicked your ass, nigga. This nigga asked me, do I smoke that shit, motherfucker? I ain't never touched this, blah, this and that. And he said, "Oh, okay." I was just asking because the way you keep running back up to the house asking for money, this and that, even though it's yours, You know, I was just wondering. I said, nah, man, I don't mess with that shit. Time that they gave me my envelope, I was around the corner. Wow. Picked
So
up.
your word wasn't bond.
Nah, not with that monkey on me.
Not with that monkey.
Not with that monkey on me. So I got me 2 dimes and I went on to work. Took my pipe out.
You was on a pipe. This is a pipe thing.
Yeah. So, you know, after that, you know, I said, damn. I said, my brother almost caught me. I said, hey, I can't let the family know that I fuck with this shit. I threw the pipe away. I threw the pipe on that construction site. I threw the pipe away. And I ain't never messed with it again. You know,
you was able to get rid of that monkey off your back that easy?
Oh man, hell no. Hell no, man. That mother was just as bad as me when I was trying to get off heroin. And that was a 6-day torture trip. And I ain't gonna never forget that one. But I got off those things because of the constitution that I had that was built in me because I loved Allah so much. And I didn't want to let him down. And same with the heroin.
So this is all during the time when he was still around.
Yeah. And I didn't want.
Well, the crack, because crack came later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about the heroin.
Yeah, I didn't want to embarrass him or myself. I had to give it up. I had to give it up because I loved him so much, man. I mean, he had, as far as I was concerned, he had took over my home, my house. He was my father, he was my mother, everything. Even though my mother was still alive and my father was still alive. You know, and he would tell us, you know, hey, all I'm teaching y'all is the same thing that your parents were telling you. Y'all just accept it and do it because of me, because I'm Allah. He said, well, I'm telling y'all the same thing your parents were telling you, you know?
You're saying that you love the law and everything, but there was these things that he taught you and the rest of your brothers that you ignored, or if you didn't ignore, you were defiant behind it.
Such as?
Well, you say like, you know, drugs or
right, drugs.
So these things, like, I mean, now that you what's your physical degree now?
76.
76. And you look back at what he was telling you when you about 15, 16, and all the heartache is caused you by not listening to it. Like, can you build on that a little bit?
The heartache is maybe seeing some of the fruit that I was teaching at the time. All right. Let's go back when Allah had asked us. He had said that he was telling us that a person that experienced something is the best teacher.
Experience is the best teacher.
Right. Because you gonna went through it. You can explain it better. But he also said, but the one who observed is even better. In other words, like, if you see a horse run off the cliff, you ain't gonna run off behind it. All right? Well, anyway, he says, so I want y'all He said he had told us about cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and all that stuff. They explained how all those drugs affect. And he said heroin, he said, son, far as I'm concerned, is the best high in the world. But he says the most deadliest. Now, not knowing, and not preparing myself, because never fucking around with no drugs. How powerful this shit was. Went out and did that shit, and when it was all over with, explained to the father how I thought I was floating around, I thought I was in heaven, how good I felt. Ooh, man, I never felt a high like that in my life. I told you. So he said, now I want you to leave it alone. But the craving was so strong. I mean, a whole lot of brothers, they made it. They made it through it. I wasn't one of them.
You kept going back to it.
I went back, sneaking around, because I didn't want nobody to know. But those who experienced it could tell. I mean, you still fucking around? You know, like that. Nah, man, I ain't messing around. Well, I ain't messing around. You know, lying all the time. Lying all the time. And that shit got bad. That shit got so bad, well, I stopped. So I'm not going to the parliament.
Not gonna go to.
I'm not going to the parliament. The next parliament coming up, I'm not going to it. You know, and the reason I didn't want to go to the parliament was because I knew how I looked, and I knew I was still messing around. I hadn't defeated the devil yet, you know. So
you haven't taken the devil off your planet.
Yeah. So I stayed. I stayed away from the parliament. Brothers started coming around. Blah blah. I even had brothers coming up on my block because next door to me was a house full of girls. You know, a lady had a house full of girls. You know, Hasheem, he moved in of one of them, and Hasheem and all the rest of them started coming up there. Well, anyway, I would like try to stay to myself. You know, but that goddamn Hasheem be dogging me like, well, I said, man, you sure you ain't messing around? I said, man, I ain't messing around. Get the fuck out of here. I said, it's this goddamn Wild Irish Rose, man. You know, this and that. And
you said it was the liquor. It was
the wine.
The wine.
Yeah.
Right.
Wild Irish Rose, man, you know. So, after a while, something happened in my family where the police they beat my mother. They tried to kill me too. Beat my mother when she died after the beating. And I came home and I got me a bag, me and my little fruit that I was teaching, and they didn't mind. They didn't mind the teachings. And I found out later why. They didn't mind the teachings because they could get high. You understand? We'd be on the corners drinking wine, you know, this and that. And I'd be quoting lessons to them, and they would write down the lessons, and they would come back to me and quote the lessons to me. And how much you got on the wine? Yeah, you know, we would be getting high, smoking weed, this and that. And occasionally we do some heroin, you know. So they didn't mind. But see, I was building the nation on a weak foundation. On the self-destruction foundation at that. Well, anyhow, a whole lot of them passed on. They was catching shit. yellow giantess and all that mess around with dirty needles and all that old type of crap. And me, once my mother had passed, like I said, I went and bought that package, and my fruit, they hit me, and I went out. But we always had salt shots.
Right.
We always had salt shots. We never would leave one another, you know. Like the rest of those junkies would leave one another in vacant lots and abandoned buildings. We wasn't pulling that shit with one another. And they hit me with the salt shot. No, my sister that like said, "Oh, what's wrong with him? Y'all shooting up in my house, my mother's house, this and that." Oh man, I could hear.
Huh? That's what your sister said.
Yeah, and I could hear her from a distance, you know. And let that nigga die. Our mother just died, and this is what this nigga doing. So and so. Let that nigga die. She waited. They say she waited until I turned blue. Then she let them hit me with the salt shot. And once I came out of that, I said, lock me in my room. You know, I said, I'm going to tell you some stories, but don't believe none of them. And that's when I started kicking cold turkey. And I slipped some money up on the door. Deborah, take this here $5 and run down there on Southern Avenue and give me a bag. I said, I swear this will be the last time I mess with her. I promise you. She ain't never came back. And I pissed, I vomited, I had the hot spells, cold spells, and all that good shit, man. My room was messed up. Stinking, feces, all that shit, man. But I came through it.
Said 5 days?
6 days.
6 days.
I went through it for 6 days. And when I was done, I cleaned up my room. The gorilla was gone. The gorilla was gone, and I started getting back into my lessons that I could remember. That I could remember, because for some reason I let sincere hold my lessons, and the firstborn and the father said, never learn your lessons out. And I did them. And I asked him for my damn lesson. He told me, he gave it to this sister for her to copy, and this thing, he ain't got him back yet. Get my damn lesson, this and that. I never got him back. I never got him back. So I had to ask Gykee, and Gykee sent me his. I was in North Carolina by then. He sent me his, and I got my lessons back. But these are just some of the trials and tribulations that I went through, you know. And I remember Messiah asking me, remember I was telling you about the word barn? And that we didn't want to be liars and all that old shit? That nigga caught me up in that, you know, right in front of my house, up on Lafayette Avenue. Cause he liked my sister Deborah, but she told me she didn't want no parts of his ass. But he asked me, he said, "You never tell a lie?" I said, "Nah, man, where's barn?" You know, like that. I ain't telling no damn lie. Okay, he said, "Yeah, well, suppose the father came run up the block right now and ran in the house, in your house, and the police was behind him, and the police asked you, was he in there? What would you say?" I say, "This dirty motherfucker." I said, "You know what I say?" You said, What would you say? I said, I tell him no. He wasn't in there. You know, like that. You say, all right then, you know. He said, don't feel bad. He said, it's all right to lie for the truth. Sometimes. So that's why I'm going back with that. There's always an exception. You know. Sometimes you do wrong for the right cause.
Right.
You know?
Well, God, I want to, you know.
Go ahead with your questions.
Well, I'm, asking, in terms of, you getting caught up and then coming out of it, but you had a history of keeping going back to it, or going back, getting caught up, or maybe getting caught up in something else different, like whether it be the alcohol, or whether it be these other things where, it took you so long to really come out of it and leave it all alone.
Yeah, only thing that I ever went back to was alcohol. All the rest of the hardcore shit, when I dropped it, I dropped it. You know, cause I ain't never stopped drinking. I had never stopped drinking. I remember being lost in Mecca, and we had went up there to see the Father, and I was drinking, and somehow me and Gykee got separated. And I didn't know Mecca well. And I was walking all over the place trying to find my way back. And then when I finally got back to 127th Street, and I saw Gykee said, where you been, man? I've been looking all over. The Father looked up at me and said, coming up out of the basement, he looked up at me and said, son, you gotta stop drinking. I do like I said, okay. I got out the block. I said, shit.
Right. So that's what I mean by, like, he's telling you not to do these things, or to stop doing these things.
Right.
And you, in your mind, it just started. You went on your own thing.
I just couldn't give up drinking. I just couldn't give up drinking.
But what was it about the drinking that?
It made me feel whole. What I mean by that.
That's some illusion.
I wasn't shy. I wasn't shy, and I definitely wouldn't bite my tongue. And again, I wouldn't back down from you when it came to a fight, like that.
They call that liquid courage.
Yeah, that false courage.
False courage.
Yeah, females. I was hot on your ass, The females, where if I was sober, I was laid back. I wouldn't be all up on you. But now the interesting thing about that is, after I went through all that shit, I was still drinking, but I wasn't drinking heavy like I was before. My niece, my sister's youngest girl, was pregnant, and she had a baby. And when they came home with the baby, and I said, let me see. And they unwrapped her. I like, whoa, this is mine. You can take your ass back to college or back to the military, wherever you want to go. Devil, you can go back to work. Don't worry about nothing. I got this. And I raised her. Raised her.
And she inspired you to clean up.
Yeah, when this is how that happened. Me and her was both laying on the bed, and she was sleeping out. Went in the refrigerator, took me a little sip, took me a couple of drags, put it out, when laid back down beside her, and was just admiring how beautiful she was. And I was saying, now suppose she roll off the bed when you lay down and you go to sleep. She roll off the bed and bust her head. What are you gonna tell her mother? What are you gonna tell your sister Deborah? That shit scared me so motherfucking hard, man. That evening when they came home, I took the rest of my liquor, my cigarettes, and I gave them to my nephews and them because they was playing cards. And I looked back. I ain't had the taste for it. I'm good. You know, like I said, Allah gave me a strong constitution. You know what I'm saying? And once I make up my mind, it's unbreakable. You know, and I'm glad that I went through that.
That experience.
Yes, because I have a lot to tell you and give you as far as advice is concerned, you know, and which is leave it the fuck alone.
Right. It is. It's historically it's said that he said, you know, law said the best way to master something
is to leave it.
Is to leave it alone.
Yes, sir. It's like, because heroin gonna do its job. You cannot stop it from doing its job.
Which is destruction.
Yeah. Poison is gonna do its job. You can't stop it. That's what it's made for to do. You know, so hey, leave it. If you know it's gonna kill you, leave it. Oh, the thing about drugs is it's a slow death if you use it right. Otherwise, you can OD. You know, because I OD at least 10 times.
Wow.
At least 10 times if it wasn't for those salt shots. But what? Well, guess what? That didn't bother me none. Come on, let's go get another bag. You know what I'm saying? That's how bad the monkey was, man. That motherfucker was a gorilla. You know, like I said, man.
But you love the law enough to say that, you know, that you wanted to get that off your back.
Yeah, I wanted to come back around my brothers. I self-exiled myself because I didn't want to be around them like that, because, like I said, we was a family for years, and everybody was straight and narrow, and I wasn't. I couldn't go around them, man. You know, oh hell no. I mean, Marianne had named her child after me, you know, and shit like that. People loved me in the nation, and I didn't want to go back hurting nobody. I wanted to go back straight as Akim, you know, and that's the way it is.
Right.
You know, that's the way it is. And like I say, man, I gonna sing so much, and then I look at my nation, you know, I was like, wow, we gotta do better than this, man. 50 plus years. I asked the brothers week before last, we was sitting out there in front of the school, or was it like Appreciation Day? I asked them, I said, I want y'all to just look at the school. I said, now imagine if that was them Hebrew national guys, the Jews. They got the building. I say, I guarantee you, in 3 to 5 years, there'll be a motherfucking building there. A building there. And here it is. 50 plus years. I said, you know, you got to be careful what comes out your mouths. You're running around here talking about you are the supreme being. You are God. And here it is, 50 years, and the school still looking at it. And everybody looking at me like, yeah.
So there's 9 born in Mecca, 14 born in Medina, right? And amongst them, like you, at a certain point, there became some kind of disagreement. I mean, did you see any disagreements amongst your brothers?
Like what? What kind of?
Well, I mean, because nowadays, you know, there's disagreements. There's, you know, you can see it in the students of the firstborns and the students of the students, meaning like how maybe the lessons went, how the mathematics are, or how things should go, what Allah said.
Oh, okay. No, not at the head of Medina, nowhere. Now, whatever was happening out there in East New York, I don't know. I don't have a clue what was going on out there. Maybe some of the brothers at the head of Medina know what was going on out there, but not me. Head of Medina, I told you we had that family orientating thing, all right? And something was going on. We all got together. Man. Yeah, the brothers talking about the lesson, it goes like this, so and so. And I'm telling them it goes like this. We got it cleared up. It may have been some things going on, but like I said, they always brought it.
Back to the family. That's
Yeah.
Thing.
So let's get this shit straight now, here, right now. But after I came out of exile, I started coming back to the parliaments and whatnot.
After self exile.
Yeah, I started hearing things. I started hearing things.
Well, I asked you, like specifically, more specifically, like, is it the firstborns of Medina, like I said, and Mecca, because they were teaching a specific way, and then like nowadays, there's these different discrepancies. So somewhere along the line, the discrepancies came along, and this is why it created the conditions that we see today.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I can simplify that by saying we have to go with change. Okay. Now we got new and fresh blood in the nation, and they got their ideas. They got their ideas that may not gel with the older brothers, but it still comes to, you got to sit down. I mean, just like the parliament. If you got something on your mind, this is what we're here for. This is what we're here for. And we're going to do it in a civilized fashion. You ain't got to worry about nobody jumping on you, this and that, because that person will get taken out of there. And like, if I had anything to do with it, I take his flag and let him know when he can come back and collect it. Come to me, rest my soul. Come to me, rest my soul. Come to me, rest my soul. Come to me. Well, that was my first girlfriend.
Mom.
Yeah.
Nothing like mom. I lost my mother in 2018. Yeah, that's there's nothing like that. That stays with you.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
2018. 2018, huh? That was a year after I got all this.
Oh, okay. The burns and everything.
Yeah. January 2017.
It was she returned January 20th, 2018.
Wow.
It's nothing like, losing your mother.
No way, man.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, because she's different from your dad. You know, you can
Your first teacher.
yeah, you know, you can run to your dad when you got a problem crying or whatever, you know, and he give you a big strong hug and whatnot. So it's gonna be all right, son.
Right.
You know, it's gonna be all right. But when you run to mom's crying and whatnot, she is so soft and whatnot, and she's kissing you all over your face and this and that.
Right.
And, you know, she may be crying right along with you, you know, all that
Right.
other shit, you know. Ain't nothing like mom, you know. Shit.
That's a fact.
I mean, back when I was going to junior high school, man, she was sacred. You better not be talking about your mother. The fight was on. There was no holding back. You know,
Right.
You know, there is no forgiving.
Talk about your mother. Right? You ain't gonna be talking about my mother.
Yeah.
No, I go all out with my mother.
Yeah, it was unforgiving.
Right.
You know, no, you didn't do that. All right.
So God, you know, one of my questions is like, you know, many of your peers are no longer here.
Whoa, tell me about it.
And looking back at, you know, all that you went through, like, what would you say to them now?
Oh, I miss them.
Mm.
I love. Shoot, they'd be all over me too.
Mm.
I know it. They'd be all over me too. You know.
But what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way that you may not have known or you didn't really pay attention to then, that now you can pass that along if you could?
Oh, to them?
Yeah, to them.
Oh, I gonna learn it now. One thing that I could honestly tell them is to stay the course. Never forget what Allah taught us. Stay the course and build off those foundational bricks, which are the lessons. Those are our bricks to build on. And remember on the back of the dollar bill, where the pyramid is there with the all I seen, but there's a space there. And that space means there's still work to be done. There's still work to be done. That means that building never stops. I love it. I love that eighth, that number 8. I love it.
The build. Yeah, build.
It never stops. We never keep on building. Those are our bricks, our foundation. Research, study. I'm still a student.
You know, that's interesting. You know, I got a gem from one of my brothers, and he just mentioned, like, you know, like that 8. He said, you know, you got the top of the 8, and you have the bottom of the 8. You know, like the top is like, you know, you're dealing with those higher ciphers, and then you got the lower world. He said, you know, always keep it at the top of the 8. You know what I'm saying? Building, always building.
Always building.
Yeah.
Always building, man. I mean, you look at this guy. You look at this guy here, man. You know, you don't think he learned that from us? You don't think he learned it? Look what he gonna do with our math and whatnot. Look at all this shit that he building. Constantly. I mean, especially here in New York. There's hardly a empty fucking lot.
Right.
This guy's building, man. You know, because he's living the mathematics out. I mean, living mathematics. I would teach my brothers, man, which I wouldn't have much to teach them because they would catch on whatever they missed. They would catch on and go and keep on right on in stride. You know, just like playing football, you throwing a ball out to your wide receiver, and he catches it right on in stride. Keep on moving. You know, like he ain't missed shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like when I came back, the brothers that were still here, that when I left, they embraced me like I ain't never went nowhere. Like I ain't went nowhere. You know? And I will do the same for them. I mean,
that's important to have a support system.
Definitely. I mean, you look at the attributes, Allah's attributes, the names. You know, this and that. Each name is a skill. That person has a skill. Now you bring all them people together, and you got what? Allah. You build a nation right there. Right there. Bring everybody together. All the people come together. You got a nation with the same common cause.
Right, one common cause.
The same common cause. We know. And that, I don't see. Too tough.
Yeah, so and that's what I was, when I asked you, because, like, in terms of, like, the disagreements, like, for instance, I do this recording. This is my skill and my trade, right? And, as I record different, but like yourself, other brothers who have history in the nation. And, brothers will, recall their history, and then there's others watching it, and then they got a disagreement with it. Now they got a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I give you a good example of what you are speaking on. I think it was last year during the summer, the school had gave a concert.
Yeah, okay, yes. You was there, and God told me I should ask you about that. Right. So yes, that's a good example right there.
Okay.
The city of God, because I was a part of that.
Okay.
I was a part of putting that together. Yes.
All right. Now, my biggest thing about that comes at the end, of the story. Okay, I get there, and the yard is jumping. Okay. So when I get ready to go in the gate, I didn't see the brother sitting there, that was collecting a mission. Okay. And I said, oh shit. And the brother said, peace God, oh, you one of the firstborns, you ain't gotta pay. I said, what is this money for? He said, for the school. I said, well then I'm gonna pay. I said, because my blood, sweat, and tears went in that damn school, so I am gonna definitely continue for his advancement. Like that. He said, okay, God. And I gave him $20. And I went on there. And I get up there by the stage, and my man comes on and said his name was Criminal God.
Criminal God, we out here, man. I want to thank y'all for all the support, man. But I want to let y'all know who I am. I'm the Criminal God.
I did like this here. Wait a minute. Whoa. Wait. Did this brother just say his name was Criminal God? So I listened for a while, and he was rapping. He was doing his shit. And all of a sudden I heard his lyrics go, what? The firstborn was criminals.
Listen, man, if you know your lessons, you know the 9-born was all criminals, God.
And here it is, you're a firstborn now.
Yeah, but I know who he was talking about. He was talking about Messiah in there. The firstborn was criminals and this and that. So that makes us criminals too. this and that like that. I was like, oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. You know, so I goes out front, back out front, and I see the little kid. He's sitting there at the table, you know, with his back against the fence. I say, I know he hearing this. As I left the yard, I saw people with cameras and recordings and this, all that, recording all this shit. I was like, yo, who put this together? And they said the Spanish brother did.
No, Sunni. No, well, no, it wasn't Sunni. Sunni was hosting it.
Okay.
Right. So I was part of the ones who put together the event, and the brother Criminal Guard, he was added later on. Right. Now I know his music. Now if you listen to his music, some of those things won't read. That wasn't a platform. However, there's also some of it that was, you know, where it's people.
The world is New York now. Ain't nobody eating pork now.
But he was saying when he said that the First Borns were criminals. When I put together the video, I said, but he also left out that Allah didn't teach that.
If you know your lesson, you know the 9-born was all criminals, God.
Yet he left out the other part of the story, that Allah did not teach that. And those who became criminals are the ones who strayed away from Allah's teachings.
So I wanted to be clear in that you know, Allah didn't teach that, and that some of those brothers who became criminals was the one who strayed away from Allah.
Okay. Listen. So I says, who put this shit together? So they told me the Spanish brother. Okay? So they say, I guess somebody was told him, yo, I can't want to see you. So he came, and I did like he said. He came while I was talking. I said, you put this together? He said, yeah. I said, yo, man, let me tell you something. The father, when he left the Mars, he knew what he was going to do. He knew he was coming to get the babies because the old was set in their minds already. He can't teach them. So he came to get the babies, the future of all nations. I said, he reached down in the mud. He reached out in the gutter, the mud, and picked us up out of there and cleaned us off. Cleaned us and civilized us. We are not criminal gods. We are civilized gods. Did you check this guy's material out before he got up on that stage? He said, no, God. I said, you have to check people's material out before you let them go on stage. I said, this is Allah's house. And he up there, you say, do you hear the message that he's putting out? And then his name, criminal. We're not criminals.
Criminal God, no mystery God. Peace to all the gods of penitentiary yards.
There's no criminal here. We were criminals until Allah came and cleaned us up. He was standing right there when I said all that shit, right up against the goddamn school window. When I said all this.
So the artist, Criminal Guard?
Yeah. And he didn't approach me. I think 2 days later, he attacked me on social media or some motherfucking shit like that. That ain't my platform. That ain't my platform. Come to me eye to eye, nigga, if you got something to say to me. This is where I deal, face to face. Fuck that. You know, anyway, he said, yeah. God said, you know what? He couldn't get up there and do that and sing that in no mosque, no church, or no goddamn synagogue. He couldn't sing that shit. And then come here to Allah's house and sing that. That's a no-no.
Well, I take the weight of that, you know, in terms of
even you,
the curator, yeah.
Yeah, even you know, I don't care who put it together. You always supposed to check the person's material out.
Right.
You know, before they even get up there. You know, because suppose he got up there singing a Nazi love song or some shit like that. You know, come on, man. I mean,
No,
I mean, like you said, this is your profession.
Right. Well, this year I would say because you know it turned out to be a beautiful event.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a beautiful event, and nothing negative happened.
Oh,
right?
good.
Right. No. I'm just to add on, God. You know, that material, like I said, there were some things that could have been better. Yes.
That's all.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
don't you learn from your mistakes?
Right. Exactly. Right. So it could have been better. You know, and I'm not trying to you know necessarily defend, you know, some of the things that he said because like I said, I know that Allah didn't teach that. As you said, that's the bottom line. I know that Allah didn't teach that, and that you know, and I think he's speaking from a personal pain and experience.
Well, don't do it there.
Right. Well, that's what it comes down to.
Don't do it there.
Right. So you know, I think the brother's talented, and also hold on. He has a background with the nation. You know, he said that his father was God, his mother was Earth, his aunts is Earth. You know, he says
cool.
he has that, and I think he might have been coming from that history, like you said, like those history of brothers where they were doing these criminal activities, and he might have, you know, been expressing that in his music. You know, but I do agree, like you know, it shouldn't have been on that particular platform.
No way.
Right.
No way.
Right.
No way. I mean, this is nothing to take away from his family.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that material there that he was singing should not have been there.
When he said that the First Borns were criminals.
Yeah. Well,
it's really about because like you said, that history is, you know, there is that history, right?
Yes.
But it shouldn't be promoted, not on that platform.
No, us being criminals. Hey, we are criminal guards too. What?
Mm.
Oh, no, he didn't say that. No, he didn't say that.
Mm.
No, I didn't hear him say that.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I was fucked up. I was fucked up. I said, oh, I gotta get the fuck out of here. You know, and the brothers and them start crowding around me, you know. I said, nah, man, can't have this shit, man, you know. You know how much I've been through for this school to be here? Oh, no, man, no. Man, the father would have ran into school and got his goddamn rifle. You gotta get out of here with that shit, son. You gotta go with that shit. No, right. But I'm glad that. Well, I'm glad that it's over with. And I hope there's a good learning experience for those that's younger than me. You know, but we don't do that type of stuff here.
Now, we would like to do another one.
But he should do something with his name. He should do something with his name, man. He go get.
Well, here's the and like I said, I'm not trying to. He could speak for himself, right? But I'm just telling you for what I know, right? He's called himself criminal guard. However, he has a criminal reform program, right? Where he's going into. Now, I would have liked to have heard more about that. Right, you know, like he didn't really explain that too much on that. That's what that platform was for, like for you to explain for the criminal reform part. So I think he's trying to use it to kind of grab the attention and try to turn it around in some way. So he says that he's doing things in the community. He has an organization with the criminal reform and everything.
I applaud him trying to help those brothers that's incarcerated or that's got police records and all that. Because I don't like the term criminal too tough, you know.
Right.
You know, but to turn their lives around, you know, show them a road of positive
and redemption
and growth, you know. But he himself should look at that name. You know, your name speaks a lot of shit about you before people even see you. Who? Oh no, never mind. I ain't saw you, or even read or heard your material yet. No, that's okay. No, you know your name speaks volumes sometimes.
all the time. Your name does speak volumes. Your name does precede you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Those are some of the words I'll be looking for. You know.
Right.
But
well, here's the thing, you know, in terms of like, you know, because he comes out of Jamaica, Queens.
Okay.
Right, and I don't know if you know like that history of those brothers out there, right? Right, and that history, you know, now him uplifting that history a certain way, I don't personally agree with. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a talented brother.
Okay.
Right, but you know, like the way he's, you know, uplifting that history, but I also see a side to whereas he's also trying to reverse the polarity a certain way, and maybe he may not do it in the way that I do it or the way that you do it. You know, it's just, and this is where it takes a support system to kind of help, you know, speak into like maybe you could do that a little better.
Right.
And maybe here's a better way of doing that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But I think the brother, I think the brother's talented. You know, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of different layers, and I think hearing you as a firstborn, because you're a firstborn,
right,
voicing your mind of what you heard,
yep,
is important.
I was shocked. I was shocked and angry. Angry. First of all, I wasn't sure that I was reading the card that they're passing out. You know, criminal. That's the first thing hit my face. Criminal. Pay it no mind until we got to see. Well, like I said, that's behind us. You know, I don't dwell on shit too long. I keep on going forward, man. I ain't got time for that shit. I hope y'all next one be much greater.
Right.
You know,
Well, if he were here now, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna watch this, right? What would you say to him?
His material. He have to go over his material. He got to remember where he at. And who's he in front of. You know, there's children that most of them don't even hear the words, but they go with the beat. They go with the beat. And then from the beat, they take on the words. You know, they repeat the words, they don't even know what the damn meaning of the word is, but they sending the word on. You got to do research on your material. Is this gonna work there?
At this particular platform.
Yeah, is this gonna work here?
Right.
You know, is this song gonna work there? Is this his speech gonna work with this crowd? You know, this and that.
And we built with him afterwards about it. You know, well, first of all, beforehand, we asked him to curb the material because of the platform, right?
Yeah.
So then when he came, I think he was taking the approach of, you know, as an artist, he didn't want to be censored, right? And he was trying to show his, you know, I'm coming to perform. I'm not going to be censored. And then also when we built with him afterwards, he had express some disagreement with some things that was happening at the school, right? With some of the older brothers. So there's things that are in the atmosphere when we talk about our nation that we need to we do need to look at our nation as a whole and clean up particular things.
All right. To get back to that, I'm sure you heard it before, but it said what? It all starts at what? Home.
Starts at home, right?
Everything starts at home.
Right. And this is where I wanted. That's why I was getting at earlier in terms of, you know, even with the First Borns and some of the disagreements, there's certain things that we have to address.
Of course we do. Yes.
At home, and before we start broadcasting and putting these things out into the world.
Yeah.
Right? So there are some things to be addressed at home.
Like me myself, if I'm not home, going through those lessons, watching my YouTube and watching movies and whatnot, doing the little shit around here in the building with the staff and whatnot, I'm back out there in Medina. I'm visiting old friends. Most of them are not 5%ers because most of my 5% brothers and sisters are gone. You know, the young ones, I don't know where the hell they are, you know, or where they be at. So I'm in Fort Greene with my brother Civilized, you know, and I take it from there. Now, as far as Mecca is concerned, I don't be at the meetings. I don't even know when the meetings are, you know, and whatnot like that. Only time I know anything about what's going on is when I come to a parliament. You know, and maybe that's my fault. You know, maybe that's my fault. You know, that I'm not getting involved enough. You know, I have to look into that.
Well, God, you know,
I have to look into that.
I want to say, God, you know, your history, right now, as I was mentioning before, God, like as I do this camera work, you know, I record these things. I come and record your history. You know, the last time we did some recordings, there were people who had some disagreements. But I think you being visible, you being here, still here at God Equality, 76 years of age, is a testament, right? And I think that, you know, it's important that I continue to capture this history from you and continue to get what's on your mind.
No problem.
Right. I think it's extremely important, you know. But you being 76 years old, some people may say you don't remember things all the way how they were.
Okay.
Right? You know, like, you know, maybe some things got blurred.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Right.
And I don't deny that.
Right.
You know, I may okay, let's say God Supreme, for instance. He used to run behind us. You know, if we got arrested, he would say he was just as old as we were. You know, and he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? He get arrested right along with us. You know, but getting back to what you're saying is that I could be talking about something, and he maybe remember, no, it didn't go that way. It went like this. So and so was involved in it, so and so. You know, of course I need that.
And that's the importance of coming together.
Yeah,
right?
Of course I need that.
But I see as time has you know gone on, a lot of us neglect to come together.
I ain't scared.
No, I'm not saying you scared. I'm just saying that because we.
I ain't scared. I just said that.
No, I know. But you know, that's I don't whether life takes us in different directions.
Yes.
And then we get different ideas and we do different things. And we. This is why I see like a lot of the disagreements coming because a lot was neglect to come together. And I mean, not to say that we're gonna just we're gonna always agree because sometimes we disagree.
That is a building platform when you disagree.
A building platform.
Yeah. What I mean by that is I come out with my opinion and say, this is the reason why I say, oh, don't do it that way. We could do it this way, blah, 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 blah. And then you add on, well, if we do it that way, we might maximize this and that, so and so. And still we can go my way, doing it this way. You're building.
You're building, right.
The founding fathers. When they was writing the Constitution, you know how many times they must have disagreed over that, and I think we should put in this and so and so,
right. But it's the thing about us still coming together at the end of the day.
It's always got to come together.
Right.
You got to come together. Let me tell you something, man. You bringing up this 76 years old shit. My family is like this. And this is how my mother raised us. She said, I want y'all to always watch one another back, Always be, and no fighting amongst one another. She said, I want y'all to be like a basket, weeded like this, where water can't even go through it. That's how family's supposed to be. Now, the 76 stuff, my mother's last brother, which is her youngest brother, my Uncle H.T., he's almost 90-something. You understand?
He's still amongst us.
Yes, and he's telling me that it's time for me to take the goddamn torch.
At 76, he's 90-something. He said take the torch.
Yeah, so that now it's my turn to keep the family together. This and that. Make sure that we have our family reunions and all this here good stuff. And I'm like, what? And I'm looking at how my family has grown, how there's so many different ideas out there. One of them talking about, nah, I ain't going that way. I'm going this way and all that other shit. I'm like,
that's a task.
I'm like, I don't know about that, but I got a brother behind me, Anthony. I may give it to him. He went to college. I may pass the torch to him. He said, nah, you keep the torch, you keep the family, because you was around the family the most, and you know all the pains and things that the family feels and everything, and they all love you, like that. I'm like, yeah, well, that's what the Father taught me to do. He taught me to make people fall in love with me.
Yeah, and that's what I see with our nation. As the firstborns, right? I was telling you can tell me if I'm wrong, that Allah taught each of the firstborns differently, right? But He also instructed us to come together, and that's the thing that I see in my day and time that we neglect to do is we come together, for our parliaments and our nation events, and we have those things, but a lot of disagreements,
See, that's what I'm saying. Like they have these town hall meetings and all that other shit in certain communities and all that other shit. This nation needs a certain date or week in every month where the 5 boroughs come and sit down at the table. I mean, it's up for the people in the 5 boroughs to choose who they want to speak out for them. And that person comes to the table and give the concerns or whatever the case may be, or what they want to talk about. I mean, seriously, and sit down. And this way,
That's what we have. That's what we have our parliaments for, right?
I mean, really. I mean, but parliaments, man, is mostly like everybody comes and to hear about what's going on. You know, what's happening with this project. What's going on with this project here, this and that, so and so.
Well, because you know the nation has grown so much that there's a lot to pack into one parliament every month. Like there's a whole lot.
Yeah, because now we are now entertaining different states.
Yes.
Because of y'all camera work.
Yeah. Different state and different countries as well. I have a student in South. That picture you was telling me, that picture of you, with all the brothers in front of a law school. That was taken by Bakar.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you give me a little bit of history of that picture? What you remember of it? You said him and Bakar and Najgar was a part of the same photography class.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And see, Bakar, as far as I'm concerned, had mastered that. So what I mean by mastering that is where he could set it. He could set it and also get it in the picture.
Okay. Right.
You know, and where Najgar hadn't learned that yet. You know, as far as I was concerned, Bakar was more advanced in that camera than Najgar. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Najgar, you know,
right,
at all. But Bakar was like ahead of him, you know, in that. But that they had told the First Borns had told us that we had got us to school. And when our law had got us to school, and Mayor Lindsay and all that shit, and we went over there, man. We was like kids that ain't never had nothing in their life. Wow. And then the father said, yeah, this is our building, this and that. And then they got it, and they had people to come to do the lettering and all that little stuff and whatnot. And I'm trying to remember, was it the guards who put the flag, painted the flag on there? Or was it somebody else? Well, anyhow, they said the school was done. We all got put on our best little street clothes and whatnot. And you can't tell me I wasn't clean. Shit, I had on me some $19 silk pair of pants. Had me a nice little short sleeve shirt. And had my Playboys on. The other night, and everybody put on their little best shit. And we went over there, and I said, let's take some pictures and whatnot in there. or caught him out. Get in front of the school. Right there in front of the flag. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Yeah, don't block the flag out. This and that. And,
oh, so he set up the picture and everything.
yeah, don't block the flag out. You know, try to get a lot to get into the father.
He said, nah, I don't.
No, he don't take pictures. You know, this and that. You know, but Bakar got a picture out of it. Well, Bakar got a picture out of it where called he told the father, he said, well, you know, if I don't take a picture of you, how am I gonna tell the story about you if I don't get a picture of you? You know, how am I gonna tell the story? You know? And he got a picture of the father.
Was it that same day? He got the picture of the that day?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
About when he got the picture of the father. I'm not sure because we all leave Mecca different hours. Some brothers won't want to hang out with the father as long as the father was out there. They were gonna be out there. And then sometimes the father would leave and we'd be out there all by ourselves and this and that. And we all, I'm going home. Are you okay? Peace, this and that. We're about to leave at different times. But it must have been about 4 or 5 different shots of that picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because right here on the end, that's knowledge God. That's knowledge God. And then you got other pictures where knowledge God is standing where Hasheem or where I'm sitting at. It was different. There's pictures of where Gykee is not even in the picture at all. I want to show you something. Do you know anything about this magazine? I think this magazine is called Jive.
Let me see the front of it.
This is not the front of it.
That side? Oh, the cover of it.
No. That shit wore off.
Okay.
Because I showed it to so many people. Look at all the people that's in this joint.
Like Bumpy Johnson and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like it's old.
Yeah, it is old. It's real old. Fat Joe. But they got the real guy in here. I will get to. Come on, paper. This is the only reason I keep the goddamn thing. The magazine. Because somebody brought it up to me.
Oh. Oh, that's God in it. That's not the Feds magazine, is it?
It might be. See, look at that. That's the same picture over there.
Right. I'm looking at it, see?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's Rad Jab. They go to follow. It's the only reason I kept this in the picture. Art bar.
Wow. Okay.
They go,
That's the picture that Carl took, right?
I don't know about this one. This is Messiah, the father, and there go Messiah Brown C. Uhura. Uhura got on his Playboys. The 5% nation.
The love that hate couldn't destroy.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's the beginning of it. That's the only, and the different groups that split it off. That split it off for the 5%. These are these guys.
Yeah, that is the Feds magazine. That is
Yeah.
the Feds. Yeah, okay, so that's what it is up there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that is the Feds magazine. Okay.
Yeah, you got all these other groups that split it off from, like these guys. I think this, who are these guys? You got the Zulu Nation and all these guys up. You see that? So that's the Zulu Nation.
Right.
All these niggas came from the 5%. You know, they didn't want to live like the 5%, so they started their own shit. Black people coming together. I love the 60s, boy. I love the 60s. Equality years. The blacks got together, started waking up, finding out who they were. Fuck you, whitey. You know, all that good shit. You know, I love that. I love that. Because my parents didn't have that. I mean, Daddy, Grace, and Father Divine, and all them motherfuckers, they were robbing them. The 10%.
10%.
Robbing them, you know, instead of leading them in the right way. You know. But yeah, this is where I keep my little shit. You know, my history book.
That's peace, God.
You know, my history book.
That's peace.
As far as I know, when I was a kid and I was in school, what happened? As far as I can remember, was that our people were a slave, and that any kid that was born after that was taught what?
About slavery.
Was taught his history.
Oh, the white man's history.
Right. There was no more all about our history. It was his history. Right. The only thing that I knew that we were slaves. That's all I knew, was we were slaves.
So this knowledge introduced you to...
And it just opened up a brand new world about, hello, you more than that, young man. Your ancestors was here from the beginning. Even they Bible couldn't even lie. It's in the beginning it was darkness. You know, he said my sister, they sneaks down into the neighborhood where I'm hanging out at, and they bump into the brothers, you know. I'm like, I said, okay, all right. So now my sister and them, they meet other
your sister met a law and all that.
Yeah, my sister Sil used to go with Ayla. No, Bila, and they used to live right up upstairs over Ayla and Bila and their grandfather over there on Willoughby and what is that, Franklin Avenue, right there where my junior high school is at 117. Their grandfather, that's the one that gave us the pass to go see Allah.
In Maternal.
Right. He had the railroad pass that gave us.
Okay.
Because he worked for the railroad for over 30-something years. And he, you know, now he was like a cripple and whatnot. He had that voice box and all that shit. And he got the pass for us to go visit Allah.
Wow.
You know, cause Willeen was there taking care of him, his daughter, and which was Allah's woman at one time, because she had the two boys, right. And whatnot. So anyway, my sister used to hang out with Justice. You know, he was Akbar then. Used to hang out with him. All the women loved Justice.
Oh yeah?
All the
so
women.
Justice was a ladies' man?
What? That's why Shahid
Okay. Okay. Now that makes sense.
That was one of the reasons Shahid was already pissed that him Allah was right hand. He was Allah's right hand man in the mosque.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got ready to leave the mosque, he chose
justice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. Okay. He's pissed off about that. Now he comes running to the father, telling the father, "Yo, speak to your man." And he's, what you talking about? He's
messing with my woman.
Yeah, he's sleeping with my woman, man. This and that, so and so.
If that's your woman, if it was really your woman, then he wouldn't have
Yeah,
her.
he said, how could that be your woman and she's sleeping with him? That can't be your woman. And she's sleeping with Justin. Akbar. And that pissed him off. You know. As far as I know, is behind that good shit, we was at war with the Qusayr Muslims up here in the Bronx. That Shahid was in charge of.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Shahid was in charge of the Qusayr Muslims.
He was the head man.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So now I just put together myself and say, oh, this motherfucker started that shit up. Had us up there fighting and whatnot. Wow. I ain't know nothing about this here goddamn borough. I'm running around streets and shit like that. I don't know which way I'm going. Right. Only thing I knew kept us going was the run, follow the train, the L.
Oh, right, this 5 and 2 line.
Yeah, right. We were running, following the L.
Wow.
And I think it was the 42nd or the 48th, some shit like that. Police jumped on the bus because we jumped on the bus because we didn't know where fuck we were going. They stopped the bus, snatched our asses off, arrested our asses and shit like that.
Fighting with the Muslims up here.
Yeah. Up in the projects,
that Shahid was in
charge of.
Wow. See, now that's a history that I didn't know about. You know
yeah.
Now, I don't know, like I said, as people watch this, people may have some discrepancies, but you giving me history as you know it.
What's great? Hey, listen. And it wasn't we was, we kicked ass or anything like that. Because the First Born came to Medina and said, yeah, we fighting. Up in the Bronx.
First Born of Mecca came to Medina?
Yeah, so we fighting.
Who's that? Which ones? Do you know?
ABG came. I think it was ABG came because he was more knew us more than the rest of the Firstborn. Okay. And we was classified Medina. We were classified as the warriors. Like that. And he said, we fighting all the Qusayr Muslims up in the Bronx, this and that. The father and all of us. The father. Ain't was nobody paying at the turnstile.
He said the father was a part of it too.
Oh, what? Yeah, the father was involved in this shit, man. Listen. Brothers was telling us that the Muslims had chased their asses out the projects and shit. And they said, and they ran all the way back to Mecca. And they said when they got down there, they saw the father standing up there. They said the father outran a phone call. That's how fast he got the fuck out of there.
Wow.
So it wasn't all about us kicking no ass up in there. We got our ass chased out of that motherfucker. Yeah, man.
That's some history though.
We had some real beautiful days. I used to go in the bar, and I used to just stand there and look at him, and I was so amazed about him. And the drinks was like $3-4. And want to drink something? Sure. you know, and he would tell us a little science about everything in life, you know. Wherever we was at, he would teach us a little science of life, you know. Like for instance, the peanuts and the boiled eggs in the bar. You know, he was saying like, you know why they put these up on the counter? You know, you'd be like, you be searching because you want to come out with the right answer around him. You know, no, they eat one, and you eat it. You know. Now don't you want to drink behind it? You know, cause you putting that salt and shit on the boiled eggs and all that other shit. You want something to drink.
To wash it down.
Yeah, so they go the liquor. That's when the liquor comes involved, you know. And you got those peanuts, those salted peanuts, you know, you throw it in your mouth, making you drink more.
So thirsty.
So you throwing more money up there. So that's why they put the eggs and the salted peanuts out there, so you buy more drinks. You know, so there's a science to everything, son.
There's a science to everything.
Yeah, you know. So, like I said, man, there's so many simple things that he taught us, you know. And he said, stop trying to make everything
complicated.
Yeah. Well, make it simple. And he said, and then when you're teaching the lessons and whatnot, make it sound like a story, a fairy tale. He said, then you'll catch a person's mind and their attention there, and they'll listen to you much longer. This and that. And once he had told me that shit, or told us that in Matterhorn.
Oh, this is what he explained to you in Matterhorn.
How to teach from the lessons to a person. Because we was coming down like them preachers down there in the South, you know, fire and brimstone, you know. So he said, all y'all doing is chasing them away, you know. He said, make it sound like a story, a fairy tale. You keep their attention, you know. So that's how when I started teaching for the lessons and whatnot, I try to make it sound so interesting. You know, he took 2 pieces of steel, you know, like that. I said, y'all know a magnet got 2 poles, right? The south and the north pole. Well, when you put the 2 north poles together, they what? They repel. You know, they what you put up north and south. You know what that is? That's a man and a fine ass woman. You know, like that. You know, fine. You know, this and that. Hey, he would teach us like, son. He said they teach you that the earth is covered 3/4 by water. He said, what did that tell you? That's her power. Water's her power. Man, do not let her get you down there by the beach. He said, so lose the battle, son. Yeah. He said, you can't win.
So the way there's a way to teach.
Yeah.
There's a way to explain. Like, so you say like this fire and brimstone thing will turn people away.
Well, yeah, you know, hollering at me.
Hollering or
shit.
Shaming people.
You're right.
People feel
right.
You know, less than because
exactly. You know,
draw them up.
Yeah. You know, Father, you know, he didn't lie. You know, he was in Matterhorn. He had told us, he said, we are chasing people away. You know, this and that. And
he said that. He said you were chasing people away.
Yeah, and you know, because he had told us to stop drinking. You know, because we didn't know how to handle our alcohol and all that other good shit. And I think about 2 weeks of that, he summoned us back. You know. and we went and visited him, and he said that we were chasing the people away. We were coming down on them too hard. But he said we was chasing them away, and that we had to calm down. And he was right, because we was even chasing brothers away. That if he misquoted a lesson, we would scream at him like that, calling names and all that other stuff like that, mentally, or not mentally, but emotionally hurt a brother.
Right.
And I'm gonna do like, fuck y'all, and go on someplace else, and shit like that. So when he told us that, I practiced that. And I didn't have to practice too much, because I used to tell stories long before, before I got into this. Yeah, I saw that clearly. I could take a lesson and make it turn it where it's a human being. This is what this lesson means. Blah blah. Break it down to the brother where you understand that shit.
Let me ask you, God. In my time, I came in 1994, and I've seen, like a repeat of history.
Okay.
Certain things repeat themselves. Like, now you in your time, have you seen things like repeat themselves, and how would you say like to kind of like break those repeating cycles?
The bad things. If I see something repeat itself and it was a negative, I hop on it. I speak about it, and I bring as many people that I know around me. I bring it to their attention. Yo, man, this can't go on like this here forever. Come on, we got to do better, or we got to correct this. But if I seen something repeat itself that was on a constructive thing, man, like that, I'll be like, hey, we got to do more of this. We got to do more of this and less of that shit. We got to get rid of that. That's your building. That's your building. That's your 8. That's your 8.
So what would you say some of the lessons that the youth need to, reoccurring lessons that the youth need to understand?
Right offhand, they should get involved. Definitely. The youth, because their mind is fresh. They ain't got a lot of shit in there yet. They should get into that 1 to 14.
Why you say that? That's interesting.
Huh?
No, it's interesting that why you say that.
Because it's a story, and it's telling you. I came here by myself.
Are you talking about the 1 to 36?
Right, yeah, 1 to 36.
Not the 1 to 14.
Not for 1 to 14.
Yeah.
My mistake on that.
Yeah.
1 to 36. I came here by myself. Get into the story. And then once they get into that story and start asking questions and whatnot about that story and get the full understanding of that story and hit those, and when they get to the other lessons, it'll be much easier for them to comprehend. Who came here by themselves? Who is his uncle? This and that. Start asking questions.
Who's the slave trader?
Yeah.
Right. What was his language? He speaks his own language. Uncle does not speak his own language. Okay, what is his own language?
Okay.
He does not know he's my uncle.
All right.
Likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing.
what got me into YouTube was I was just laying here one night and YouTube was on and the story came on this African village. And this guy, this warrior had 2 daughters and his wife, and the slave traders came and they fought. And he told his daughter to run, but he taught both of his daughters about the jungle. Taught them about the stars in the universe, the moon and the sun. He was teaching them all this shit, you know, animal tracks, this and that, what it mean, how much pressure. He was teaching them all this shit, cause he ain't had no sons. You know, he just had these 2 girls, and he was speaking to them in a language that I couldn't understand, but the caption, the caption was what he was saying. And I was like, what language is that? And come to find out he was speaking Swahili. I said, I heard there's many dialects to Swahili. You know, like that. But I knew that that was one of the original tongues of the black man. So I just laid there and watched this movie. You know, but come to find out, man, well, anyway, them Portuguese motherfuckers, man, they destroyed the village and took her and her sister on board the ships, and sister died, and she became a slave down there in Richmond, Virginia, and all that other shit. But she learned how to read and write, and which was forbidden. You know, and she went through the trials and tribulations of getting whipped, raped, and all this sort of stuff. And then she got sold to this Jewish guy, and cause he saw the hardship that she was going through, and he took her in and made her a free slave. Made her a free slave and this and that. And he said that he would help her earn enough money to go back home. But in the meantime, she was writing. She was writing her diary and whatnot, and it became a book.
Okay.
And then she published the book here in the United States through him, the Jewish dude. And it became a bestseller. She got some money, and her own money, and she went back home to her village. And she started teaching them what the hell was going on over there, this and that. And I think she spent about 3 years there, and then she came back to the United States to help the slaves that was here to get free. You understand? And I said, oh, this is my channel from now on. You know, this is all this black history. Then CLI had told me about some black female warriors. You know, just at the same time the movie came out about the black female warriors. It was not, so I hit YouTube again. And I was like, whoa. And this made me fall so much in love with my black women. I mean, all of them. You know, even though I get mad at those that went to college and that's going to college and come out talking like them. You know, I can't stand. I said, you gonna let them take everything else away from you. Now they're gonna take your goddamn language and you're talking just like with all them damn R's and all that little shit. And, you know, it's just crazy. Well, anyway, and then I look at my sisters and whatnot that's in the nation, appreciation, they meant a lot to me because I don't got so much history about my black sisters and whatnot. When the men in Africa got tired of fighting, The women picked up the
Stepped
spirit.
up. Yeah, right.
They picked up. They said, "Y'all tired? We'll handle it from here." You know what I'm saying? Hey, oh man! And then I thought about my mother, her mother, you know, and all the rest of the moms and whatnot. I said, you know, hey man, motherfucker must mistreat these damn women, man. They gotta see me.
You know, it's interesting. You know, there's been some discussion, like, cause you know, at this Earth Appreciation, you know, the theme was like the mother of civilization, right? And I appreciate, you know, the idea of the mother of civilization, but there's a segment of our nation that don't like that, or would say that I see you giving me that look right now, right? Because they, you know, they say that Allah didn't start this nation with no women, and that, you know, it was an immaculate conception, and you know, and a lot of times when I hear these brothers speak, it sounds like they were hurt, man. They, like, you know, something happened with their mamas or the women in their lives, and
oh
you know,
man, I don't know what the hell that is.
yeah,
It's just a bunch of stupidity to me.
Yeah, I do too, because you know, I can't see this nation without our women, right? You know, but I think a lot of brothers have a lot of hurt in them, and they, you know, they express that by saying, you know, Allah didn't have, you know, didn't teach the
Allah loved his mother.
right.
Allah loved his mother.
So you see now brothers, Allah didn't have no mother, he didn't have no father.
Well, how the fuck he get it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, but I hear, these are the things that I
Everything
hear.
is real.
Everything is real. I hear that. Now I say I don't want to be a part of a nation without no woman. Right? That's the universe, sun, moon, and stars.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That's how I see it. You know, I'm just sharing with you, God. You know, like, you know,
You sharing me what?
I'm sharing with you that there is a mentality that's part of our nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that. That's what a brother would be saying. I'm just sharing with you.
Yeah, and I'm just sharing with that. This is the mindset that's out there.
Yeah, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
When they come towards me, I have to let them know. I will have to let them know where I stand.
No, I appreciate the earths.
Yeah.
Earth appreciation. Like, I appreciate the earths.
I have to let them know where I stand, and anything else other than that, I don't want to hear.
And that's why I would say, like, in the beginning, God, is about, like, you know, there's some disagreements, and I was just trying to get your mindset of the origins of these disagreements.
Well, okay, I got you. When we was in Maternal, the fathers used to tell us. He says, when you look up there, it's nothing but a mirror of what's here.
Right.
Okay, so what did we have? Sun, moon,
stars,
and the earth. We got earth here. We got that woman.
The home of the original man.
She feeds us. She feeds us. Tell me this planet don't feed us. Okay? Come on, nigga. She take care of us. She makes your fucking home. How you build your home on this earth? You go out there and cut down a few trees and this thing. You got yourself a cabin. You got a home with your woman inside. Hey, listen. How are you going to build your nation if you don't have her? If you don't have her, you ain't got no nation. You can't reproduce yourself.
Right. No, God, listen. I know the logic behind it. I'm just saying. Like, I've encountered these.
I didn't know this.
I'm surprised you don't know. I mean, because I've encountered these strange ideas.
You right about that.
Yeah, these strange ideas.
Sound like them plus lessons. Sound like them plus lessons.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. I mean, but I just
still
share
that. Still that.
The language, right,
Yeah.
right. You know, yeah. And that's another thing. You know, we can improve our language.
Oh
all the time,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
You know, that was another criticism that they would have had. I can't be cursing so much. Okay, you know. But like I said, I enjoy coming here and enjoy adding on with you because
That's fun.
And you have all this history, God, and you say God equality, God. You know, you're one of our nature. And I know you went through some trials and tribulations. You went through some things.
Oh hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, you know, this is my second volume.
How to Eat to Live.
Yeah, this is my second volume. Okay. They got passages in here where they said that they got two people in here. They say that they would laugh at our age, 76 and 90 years old, that we call old. They would laugh at because they lived to be 2,000 years old.
That's interesting. Is it 2,000 years? I put questions to that, but okay, you know.
Yeah. Well, so do I.
Yeah. Right.
So do I. You know, but
I mean, but I get the idea in terms of they live longer than what we live.
Yeah, eating proper food, this and that. Plus, they didn't have all the chemicals
Right.
that we have in our bodies.
Right.
They didn't have that shit. The fuck medicines that we have, you know, that does other things.
Right, that does more damage than good.
What? I mean, you know, even the chemo. You know, when they said that I had what's that colon cancer. When they said that I had colon cancer, I laughed at it because I know who I am. You know, I know my birth sign. My birth sign is June 22nd. That's Cancer. My sister is July 21st. She ends it. Ends Cancer. Well, see, I'm Cancer, so I wasn't worried about it. So they talk about, we can offer you chemo. Now, I didn't know this here until after I got to the hospital and shit, that the United States is the only fucking country that's the first thing they throw on the table.
It's chemo.
It's chemo. Other countries use it as a last resort. Some countries don't use it at all. Now, I found out about chemo. When I go seeing chemo, you know, in other people, the people that used to go back and forth for chemo, they come back tired.
Yes.
They come back all drawled up, looking like a fucking prune and whatnot. They're in their house for 2 or 3 days. Of course, they trying to get their strength back and whatnot. Then I found out that the radiation may be curing what's diagnosed, but it's also affecting
something else.
Healthy organs and whatnot.
Right.
You know, so now after you gonna got done with this, now you got something over here that's going wrong now because of the chemo, the radiation.
Right.
Keep your shit. You know, this is what I told him at the hospital. I said, nah, y'all keep that. I had my sister on my phone listening in. I said, you heard that, sis? She said, where's your body? You know, you do what you want, you know. I said, well, I'm not taking no chemo. I said, I live with the disease. You know, I said, now I die with the disease. Whatever the case may be, I ain't fucking with no chemo. So the lady did like this shit. She said, okay. She said, okay. She said, I have another alternative. I said, what's that? She said, we have a trial drug that the FDA has not sanctioned yet. Right. You know, but we're gonna use them. We're gonna got 88% success with it. You know, like that. I said, oh yeah. I said, give me that then. But I ain't fucking with no chemo. You know, like that. She
The alternative.
yeah, she said, I said, what happens? She says 4 shots. I said, yeah, okay. What happens with the 4 shots? She said, what it does, it targets any cancer cells. And once it targets the cell, it attacks it and shrinks it up, and we go in and we just take out the cells, the dead cells.
Okay.
I said, well, let's do this. When do we start? You know, like that. Well, anyway, I got the 4 shots. They went in like they said, and when I woke up, they was all standing around me, and I said to myself, "This don't look good." Not with all these motherfuckers standing around me. This don't look good at all. You know, they said, "How you feeling?" I said, "I'm all right." I said, "Why y'all standing around my damn bed?" You know, like that. And they said, "We was waiting for you to wake up." You know, like that. She said it was a success.
Oh.
I do like you said. I said, "Oh." I was shaking all they motherfucking hands. Thank you. You know, but like I said, I had went in with the idea that I was gonna win anyway. I said, how is cancer gonna kill me, and I'm cancer? You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it's over with. I had to go back. And they had to go inside again to check out to see if any more had grown or anything like that. Came out negative. So I guess I'm a cancer survivor. You know, like
Well,
that.
peace, God. I'm glad to have you still amongst us.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and you one of our firstborn. And I want to say that it's you, ABG, and Naj God. Is there any others that's still here that you know of?
No, not that I know of.
It's
The only thing that we got is our fruit.
The fruit, right?
Like Civilized and them. Hasheem. You know, our fruit.
Yeah, the fruit. But the firstborns are there's only 3 of y'all left out of 20. That's 23, right?
Yeah, something like that. God, yeah.
So you know, the first 9 born of Mecca and the 14 born of Medina. That's 23. So
I miss them guys.
3. Yeah,
I miss them guys. Oh, the times that we used to have. Ooh. And especially when we threw the dinner for the father. Oh man, I couldn't get it out my mind that this was like Jesus' Last Supper. You know, like that. I mean, we had the table lined seated on both sides. We had brothers standing all around the room. Oh, wow.
So it was like that image that you saw of the Last Supper.
Yeah, man. I was like, whoa. And the father was, well, he never stopped teaching, you know. As we was eating, you know, he was like, yeah, don't be eating no fat, you know. Cut the fat away from your meat, this, you know what I mean? And Messiah said, well, just a little bit of fat is all right.
That's what Messiah said.
Yeah. You know, I never forget that shit. You know, I was like, damn, he spoke out against Allah, you know. I was like, damn, this nigga got balls. You know. Well, anyway, yeah, man, that was, oh man, we was at Hasheem and Marianne's little apartment. Wow.
Hasheem, Marianne is
Hasheem's wife.
That was his wife. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Lil Hasheem's dad.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, Lil Hasheem's dad.
Right.
You know, I was there for the first 2 kids.
Of the nation or
Hasheem.
Hasheem. Okay.
Yeah. For his first 2 kids. That's why she named her daughter after me. Yeah, or Kimberly, whatever her name.
Kimberly, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, God, you know, it's a family science, you know, and you know, I see again, you know, and I don't want to harp on, you know, the disagreements, you know, but we do have disagreements, but we're still a family.
Oh yeah, we just gotta get closer.
Yeah.
We gotta get closer.
Yeah.
And see, the closer we get, and I tell everybody now, and I don't care how you feel about it, there are foxes in the hen house. You know, this is why we are so separated.
Because there's foxes in the hen house. That's a good analogy right there.
Yeah, you know, we gotta get closer, and the closer we get together, the foxes gotta leave. Because see, they don't want to get revealed. They don't want to get revealed, you know. Oh shit, it's time to get the fuck out of here. Hey, I don't want to get hurt. You know, it's time to go. You know, because I, at this stage of my life, I don't have too much mercy for you, man. If you come in wolf clothing.
Right.
You know, I don't have too much sheep clothing.
Yeah. Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Right.
Correct. Right.
You know, I don't have too much mercy for you. You know, because you the guys that took a lot away from us. You know, y'all the guys. I tell the brothers, you know, they all have their opinion of who did this to the father and all that, you know. Y'all guys got to realize there was a whole lot of people out there that wanted to see a lot out there. And one of the main people were not the Muslims. And I don't even like brothers who talk about against the Muslims. You know, who else you got that's closest to us than them? You ain't got the Christian church, that's for damn sure. Well, anyway, you had those guys out there like the drug dealers. Now let's just think about them for a minute, the drug dealers. Why? Because the Father was teaching us to leave what? It alone. To leave all drugs alone. And if you don't think that wasn't hurting their pockets, then what was? What was?
Right.
And they didn't give a fuck who used it. Old, young, they didn't give a damn long as they got their money. And once we stop all the youth from using it, not all, but I'm just saying, that was the purpose, to stop all the youth from using it, and anybody else that's older from using it. That was definitely killing
the pockets, their profits.
So we gotta stop this. We gotta stop him by all means necessary. Using Malcolm's term, by all means necessary. The government, they was number 2, if not number 1. J. Edgar Hoover.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because the government couldn't do nothing with him. They couldn't say nothing to him.
The Hoover, right.
He was independent. Y'all can't touch me. I got papers on and dossiers on all of y'all. All of y'all. Y'all can't touch me. You gay ass. But anyway,
right.
You know, but he's the one that put the foxes inside your hen house.
Right.
Elijah Muhammad's secretary worked for the FBI. What that tell you? They can get him inside Elijah Muhammad's temple. You know they can get him right amongst us. Because we street people. We street people. You know? Our doors are open to everybody. You know, we don't turn nobody away. So we easily,
Right.
you know, well, easily infiltrate us.
Yeah. So you gotta be mindful of that.
Yes. But see, then you gotta remember things like, little things like the Father will tell you. God knows his brother.
Yeah, right.
You know, God knows God. Because I could be at one end of the block and you be in the middle of the block and I don't even know you. And I hear you talking, saying certain things. Like, that's God down there talking. Let me go on down there.
Right. Right, yeah. Well, peace, God. I appreciate you taking the time out and adding on with me, God.
No problem.
Anything else you want to add on? You want to tell your nation?
Oh, man. My nation, all I can tell them is stay the course. Stay the course, man. Hey. And all praises are due.
True indeed, God.
You know, stay the course.
True indeed, God. Well, it's always a pleasure adding on with you, God. You know, and
hey, well, you know how many you do.
Yeah. This is the third time. You know.
Yeah,
you know?
this is black and brown talk. Definitely understand.
Peace, God. Peace, God.
Peace. You know. So how you like your president, man?
How do I like? Oh, okay. So, real quick. So we're gonna talk about that, right? Our president. I'm not for president, you know. But however, I think that he is somebody who is, you know, for himself. The alternative would have been, you know, this woman that she said she was a black woman, right?
She says
she was black. I mean, you know, there's some question to that, right? There's some questions to or some hidden ingredients to examine, right? But I won't go into that right now. But the alternative would have been, you know, in the name of inclusion and diversity, would have been the rainbow people in our schools, right? The rainbow people in charge of a lot of different things, and so, you know, and then there would have been, you know, in the name of diversity, it would have been a lot of different genders, not agendas, different genders, right? So, you know, more than two. So what I do respect about this current president is that he has declared that there's only two genders, and I respect that about him, you know, and that we're not going to have the rainbow organizations in charge of our children, you know, like in terms of the schools and whatnot. However, I also know that he's a you know, a colored man who is for himself and his people, which tells us that we need to get our stuff together. So that's how I view it. You know, like I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm not a supporter of that, you know, social engineering that's guised or disguised as diversity.
I don't deal with the changing the sex shit. You know, I'm not into that. You know, I don't approve of it. But this guy told you when he was running what he was gonna do, who he's gonna do it to. You understand? See, that's one thing I like about him.
Yeah, he's gonna tell. Now that's what I can see this, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna tell you what he's gonna do.
Yeah, you know, and he's gonna tell you who he's gonna do it to, and this and that. And he did it. He did it. Now, when it comes to, you hit a good point, because I've been watching for the past month now on my news. That's the first thing I hit is my news. School. This nigga. First of all, the schools are not on a equal playing level as it is. What I mean by that is public school history books are not the same as private school books.
Correct.
They are something like two years ahead.
In the private sector, yes.
Ahead. In math, science, and all that good shit. You know? So, we're going to get this fixed.
Well, check this out, God. You know, he's trying to eliminate the Department of Education. Okay? Now, on face value, that's, that puts people in an uproar, right? In terms of, especially marginalized poor people. Well, what am I going to do with my children, right? And I empathize with that. However, we've also been taught going back to Elijah, saying, don't send our children to the devil.
Anyone's phone is simply by using their phone.
Okay.
Right? So this is really just giving us or alerting us to, or not only alerting us, is reminding us that we gotta teach our own. And that we gotta figure out how to educate our children, get our children educated, because this devil is not trying to educate us. And if he is, he's not going to educate us properly. You got DeSantis in Florida talking about, taking black curriculum out of the schools. So this is why I love this nation, right? Because we have a curriculum. We have our 120, right? Okay. And from that 120, there's so much to feast on in terms of education. And we can teach our children.
Okay. All right. This again, I say I love the '60s. Those are the equality years. Elijah used to have on the back of his paper where he was pleading with his people. Not just the Muslims, all black people, about building a hospital.
A hospital, okay. Yeah. But you also said build our own too.
Yeah, build a hospital and a school. He was pleading, begging, donate to educate our own, and for us to have our own doctors take care of our own people, because of the shit that was going on then and still going on now.
Right.
Like, they are, what it was like last year, Woodhall Hospital in Brooklyn and other hospitals they had found where most women, black women that was going into these hospitals that was pregnant was dying. They was just killing our women off.
Yeah.
And children. So we have our own doctors take care of our. At one time, Allah was at the Promise, and he said he was going to teach the sisters how to have our own children. And I remember.
A few of us have done that.
Yeah, I remember as a kid in the South, we didn't have money to pay the doctor to come out to the house. We didn't have the money. Them women was doing that.
On their own.
Oh, she having it now. I'll be right over. Boil the water, girl. This and that. You got some towels. This and that.
Right.
And they was giving birth right in the house.
Right.
We was having funerals right in the house. The living room, the casket sitting right up in there. I mean, everything was done right there.
We've lost that.
Yeah.
We've lost that. See, and you know, I see that Trump is reminding us of like you better get back to that.
We got to get rid of his ass.
Yeah. No. Well, I agree, but you know,
You right.
He's just a reminder, reminder that we need to get our own,
Get our own.
because he is for his own.
Yeah. Hey, listen, y'all. Us rich folks gonna hang together, and y'all poor people.
Y'all just asked out.
Yeah. Y'all done. Y'all done.
Y'all done. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
y'all
saying? So
done.
that's what I think about our you know, our president and
What about the immigration?
on the immigration situation.
This is just me and you.
No. Well, I'm still recording. I'm still recording, but I, you know, that's he's making enemies all around the world. He's making enemies. You know what I'm saying? And
Not only with the immigration, but with the taxes.
With the tariffs.
Yeah.
He's making enemies with Canada. He's making enemies with Mexico.
Britain.
His
mother country.
Right. He's making enemies. You know what I'm saying?
He's the devil, God.
Okay. Well, that's the bottom line. God, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Only thing that now with Kamala, it would have been a lot more. To me, it would have been, you know, it more covert. You know what I'm saying? It's like the lesser of two evils. You see what I'm saying? Like the lesser of two evils is still evil. That's how I see it, God.
All right, you're not gonna get a righteous deal out of the politicians, period.
Right.
Cause they ain't nothing but a bunch of lies.
Well, for me, God,
You'd have got a better handshake with her.
Oh.
I know that's a hard pill for you to swallow, but you'd have got a better handshake.
I would, you know, God. What I have a hard time with is the children being.
I can understand that.
With that diversity in the disguise of diversity. That's what
I wouldn't have settled for that either.
I would. And that's what my issue. But I'm just saying more so, you know, first of all, you know, looking at the politics on a federal level is telling me, you know, we ain't got our shit together. We ain't got no dog in that fight, because that's a level that we can't even play, because we don't have it together on a local level.
Well, where's our politicians?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So we got to get it together on a local level first and foremost. Whether that's going to be done in the next 4 years or however many years. I don't know how many. We don't have too many years left.
Yeah, we need somebody to speak out. We need somebody to speak out for us.
Yeah.
But
she wasn't going to speak out for us. She wasn't. She said she had this recordings of her saying, "I'm not going to do it for all black people."
Yeah, well.
See, these are the hidden ingredients that you know. Again, and this is what our nation has taught me about the hidden ingredients. The hidden ingredients. You better learn how to read.
Okay.
The hidden ingredients. And politics is a lot of hidden ingredients.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, immigration shit. See, I go along with about the bad apples. Okay, I don't mind you snatching the bad apples out, sitting there and sitting their asses home, especially if you got a record of these guys in the courtroom. You gonna arrest this guy how many times? Definitely send his ass back.
Yeah.
You know, you should have sent him back the first time. Now, but you talking about sending people back that gonna got children here, that have birth children here who are citizens because they were born here. Send them back. I don't care. Go with your mother. Go with your mother. If that is so, why is your damn wife and son is still here? Why ICE ain't on their butt?
That's a political game, you know. And
No, you can't be better than me.
No, right. No, you're right. Now, like you say, God, in politics, you're not going to get a righteous deal. Well, at least not at this level, because it's so corrupt. You know
I'm surprised the people ain't said nothing.
Because there's so many different. Listen, God, I got into a discussion with a brother where he was so pro-Trump, right? And I know why he was saying it, because he felt like, you know, Trump is going to usher in another era of PPE loans, and you know, another era of you know, stimulus checks, and you know, yeah, this is what this is what these people. Now,
and here's the guy cutting Social Security, and he gonna give out stimulus checks.
Yeah. See, but God, but this conversation, God, I think that what we got to do is fix ourselves on a local level. It just keeps reminding me, get your shit together.
Definitely.
Get your shit together.
We have to, man. I mean, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts.
And we can't like whether
we gotta do it. We gotta start at home. We gotta start.
Bottom line, let's start at home, and we can't put that in no politician's hands. Not as a nation. Not as a nation that teaches that the black man is God, the white man is the devil, the black woman is the earth, and the babies are the greatest. Right?
Okay.
This is what our nation teaches.
Okay.
And if we teach that, we definitely cannot be out there trying to bank on, you know, this DEI inclusion thing that is, you know, got a lot of hidden ingredients, nor this economic hitman that took hostage of the White House.
Oh, must.
Right? So either one of them, you know what I'm saying, like, it's more like, let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about how we gonna come together and build for ours. That's my mindset.
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to.
That's my mindset, you know. And talking politics, you know, it always gets, you know, the fever running with people.
We gotta do something. We gotta do something, especially about the school. Just to show, just show the people that we are sincere and that you can trust us. You got to win the trust
of the people.
If you ain't got no trust, you ain't going far.
Yeah.
I mean, my man Civilized told me there was a group of sisters some years back in the school and was asking the nation to donate some money, you know, with them to buy land in Africa. And ain't nobody followed through, but they went on and did that.
And did that, wow.
Yeah, went and bought them some land in Africa. You know, and the amazing thing is that we haven't heard from the sisters yet. You know, so far. You know, I'm just saying, man, you know, there's shit out there we can do.
Yeah, I would like to know more about that, because, you know, I got some students in
I
South
have to get
Africa.
my info from CLR because he was more on that than I was.
Yeah, I got to build with CLR, because he's, you know, yeah. Just be careful with them sisters trying to get your money, man. Be careful about that, man.
Oh, no, man. Hey, listen. I'm wise. You know, I'm not going to say that I'm all wise. I'm wise. And I know when a motherfucker's trying to... or even if it's not trying to play me, I got my motherfucking eyes open. You know. I will see how far your shit is going to go, because I believe in the old saying, let him keep on talking.
Let him keep talking, right?
Yeah, he gonna tell on himself.
Right.
You know, so me myself, I was keeping this conversation. Oh, you are the most beautiful thing in the world. That's why you want to mess with me. Oh, this is I am. This and that. She was fine. This and that. I said, girl, what happened to the men in your village? They don't see what I see.
Right.
Yeah, they don't see what I see. And she was talking about, she was in an affair, it didn't work out, this and that, so. I said, girl, I get you a ticket and bring your ass out of there over here, and there'd be a mob of motherfucking brothers at the airport trying to get to your ass. What you talking about? I said, I just don't understand it, but I got some more. Listen,
man, you having fun, man. I just, because this online thing is.
I don't mess around.
Yeah. I just, you gotta be careful. You know what I mean?
But my nieces and them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they gonna be protective. They gonna.
They like no. And even the home attendant I got. And I showed her,
said, no.
That's a scam.
That's a scam. That's a scam.
It's a scam. Like that.
Yeah. Let me get up out of here, God.
Okay.
I appreciate you, Almighty.
I appreciate you too.
You must do your own research, as I did.
If Mega did this.